Make sure we got the YouTubes up and running. Let's edit this and say 28. Today's 28. Yep, it is. Save. Let's go. All right, let's make sure we got the audio up and running. And I believe we do. So that means it is time. It is time. And we've got a lot of work to go through today. So I hope you're good and buckled in where you're at, because the feedback loop is leaving the station. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatics. Time for the feedback loop. So good to have you along. My name's Chris Courtney. I'm the host of this little soiree into design. We've got a lot of students in here today. We've got Ruby. We've got no, sorry, Ruby, Heather, Luigi, and there's somebody who has. Oh yeah, Kara's back. Kara's back, and we've also got Josue waiting in the on deck circle. So right after this, I'm going to jump into a call with Josue about his project and get the first look at the things that he's been working on. So without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen so we can get started. It's funny, my mouse just decided it wasn't going to work anymore. Um, okay, so first of all, we got Luigi. And Luigi's working on his portfolio site. He's kind of getting his head wrapped around HTML and CSS. So he's building this in CodePen, so it's just really easy to share the file. And the first thing I noticed, Luigi, obviously you've got you're working here. You're trying to use Roboto, and obviously Roboto's not working for you yet because you haven't called it in. So we'll cover that. But I wanted to go through your notes here because it says here I tried to work through your guidance, running the issues with the right nav, and the one that's in the footer. I'm also confused to how to distinguish between nav, links, class, UI, LI, and what styles to apply. So you're like you're just getting started with this, and you're having trouble like holding it all together. One of the first things that I would suggest doing is let's look at like how this is all nested together. And right now, when I look at this, I see you've got a nav, you got an H1 that's within that nav, you got a section that's within that. All of this information should move over as well. Um, and what's interesting is I see daily pay demo page, but the daily pay demo page type is down here. It really should be right here uh, under the image. And that put it on the image, which is interesting. So there must be something happening with the image itself. So let's come down here and see what's going on with your image. Nope, nothing going on there. What's going on with this contain class? I see a class of contain, but I don't see, and then I see a class of work. Maybe there's something going on with this work class that you've got. Nope. All right, well, let's look at section. I don't see okay, so I got one FR on section. Okay, so section is a grid, yeah. I get that. All right, well, let's move this. Let's look at this because I don't necessarily think you need that div right there. And for the light, oh, well, image, obviously there isn't an image source. There's no image here. So one thing I would suggest doing is let's just go get Phil Murray. And Phil Murray is one of my favorite image placeholder generators. And I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to copy okay, so there's Phil Murray. And yeah, that's generally the size that you have. So I'm going to bring that over into CodePen just so we have something in here at the image source. And that's going to give us a broken link. Well, something's not working here. Interesting. What is con I'm just going to strip some of this away because this just isn't making sense to me. So I have section, I have image. For some reason, the image is not drawing in. I'm going to go here to my assets and just grab something that I know is there. All right, so let's grab old Joe Exotic here. Let's copy as image, bring that directly in. Okay, I know that that's an asset that should show up. That's showing up. I'm not sure why Phil Murray is not showing up. But that shows up. It shows up at the width. I want to contain that in this div that you've created. Contain is not working. So this div class of contain, what I want to do is I wanted to say, okay, so you've got container dot contain isn't working because it doesn't have a width. So I'm just going to say width 100%. And that should lock this in to the grid that you've created. And I'm also just going to say, you know what, images are 100% as well. And there we go. Now that is paying attention to the grid that you've created. I'm still not sure how you were drawing in that gray box. Oh, okay, section div gray. Yeah, that's probably unnecessary because you should just have images in there. Although, in fairness to you, why don't you have images in there? Because you haven't pulled them in yet. So completely understand. But anyway, we've got this, and now you've got Fresh Market also doing the same thing. I'm just going to basically say, hey, you know what? Let's do the same exact thing that we just did here for this div. Let's get rid of this work. Just get rid of all that. But let's pull Fresh Market into that div instead of placing it underneath because it should be part of it. And then let's go ahead and pull old Joe back in here because we need a placeholder for this. All right, so now, I'm not sure why it's so tall. It's probably tall because you've got this height on it, height of 400. Don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And that basically is going to allow this to pay attention to the actual size of the div itself or the image. So instead of stretching it, it's going to say, hey, you know what? The width of the image is 100%. Well, how wide is that container? Well, it's 100%. 100% of what? 1FR. So it all like stacks back up to the grid, and it's letting the grid guide you. Okay. So that is, I would go through and go through, get some images in here. Also, you want to go through here and let's Google font Roboto, and let's get that going as well because you're clearly wanting to use Roboto. And to do that, you need to come in here and say, okay, well, I'm going to select that style, and I want to use this import style here, and I'm just going to say, all right, I'm going to grab that. It says at import URL. It points to it. And then I'm going to come through and say, come back here to your portfolio. I'm going to come back through and say, all right, at the top of this, place that in. And essentially what that has done is it's now said, oh, You've set everything to Roboto. Great. Now I know what a Roboto is. And now all your type has switched. Now it's a little thin. We can work on that. All right. But getting this structure set up to where you actually have images in these spots and pairing that material together in such a way that it all like rides together in a unit. That's really what I want you to focus on. Structure. I've said this before. There's videos that I've made on that it's over on the YouTube channel. The structure of your HTML impacts the quality of your CSS. If you've got your HTML wrong, your CSS is always going to suck. So so fix that, and then let's move forward to the subsequent questions. But there's some structural questions here, and also get Roboto thrown in here so it feels like your site. Okay. All right. Ruby is back. She's got some sketches. I love sketches. I like Sketchers too. No, no, not so much on the Sketcher actually. Sketches though. Let's just go with the sketches. All right. So we're looking here at you've got sketches. Oh, I got like a GIF, and just kind of got rolling through here. Okay, so product shot. So this we're very much in case study land, and you're gonna basically have a GIF walking us through the presentation. And by the way, the plugin I would suggest for that, if you're watching along, I suggested this earlier, is called Flipbook. It's a Figma plugin. It's pretty cool. Um, anyway, background info, team role, problem statement, more final. Okay, iteration 1, 2, 3. This, it's interesting because you've got another GIF. Iteration 2. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is like some sort of graphic, basically saying, okay, this is iteration 1, there are 2 more. Then you get down here and this is iteration 2, and there's 1 more, but there was also 1 ahead. But I like I like the pattern here. The pattern seems like you're definitely setting up a style that's going to be consistent throughout. Um, let's take a look over here. Case study date, case name. Screenshots. Consider scrolling sections. Image scrolls while text sticks to the left. Okay. I could see that. And then next project, patterns. Oh, and this would be like at the bottom because I see footer here. The one other thing I would say to think about here, and I think you've got it identified here, is what to do if they want to go back to top, because a lot of people they don't want to like scroll, and this is just you just set up an anchor tag at the top to where if you get to the bottom, a lot of times it's the opposite. Like you set up your anchor tags as you go down, and you have a link at the top, and then you anchor tag down to version 2, right? Well, this would be an anchor tag back the other way, like anchor top, and then you click it, it takes you to the top. Either way, I like it, and I like the consistency of this. Um, this sort of idea where you get the side scrolling thing, that's going to use a scroll spy. So we're going to need to write just a little bit of JavaScript to make that happen. But they're fairly straightforward. But it's something that you've got to know what you're tracking, basically the position of the scroll, and then when you get to a certain point, it deletes itself and then it moves again. But it just wanted to get your head thinking about how would you pull that off, um, versus this, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a straight scroll, but this has a lot more production in the actual setup of the images. So something to consider there. Let's hop over here to Kara, and Kara's got her sitemap, and so this is the current sitemap for your client. And as you can see, they've just thrown everything into the general information. Just everything goes in that one bucket, and there's no sorting past that. This seems to me, even if these three links here are present, it seems to me that you can go wider. Try two, try three. There's gotta be ways to spread this information around. Um, Now their competitor, much deeper site. You can see one of the things that they've done is it's just like a complete robust area on meeting them and how to refer people to them. I don't necessarily know how far they want to go on that referral thing, but I definitely think like thinking through this, who are the people at this place is pretty important. And right now, you've done that with About Us, so you've got that. Patient info. Um, Here are the procedures, the technology, referring doctors, and contact. Yeah, this looks a lot more. This looks basically like you took this deep well here and you began spreading it out. So I think you're definitely headed in the right direction. But when you show this to your client, you can say, hey, listen, previously everything was dumped in this one place like it was a trash bin. Let's get that spread out. But this is also going to mean like these are probably going to take on some unique characteristics per section. So just something to keep in mind as you're beginning to build. And then finally, Heather is in here, and Heather has her sketches. Oh, yes. And the one thing I would say here, Heather, and I love sketches. Um, I think you've got the general gist. I need to kind of like collect the information. How is this structured? There's some sort of banner here, big image to the left. There's this rail to the right. As you continue working through this, you get to like this add it to cart screen, and Heather is kind of going through and learning design patterns. Um, there is a question of, okay, how much information, how detailed do these sketches need to be? And my answer is always the same. They need to be as detailed as is helpful to you. Okay. If you from this can remember that, oh, for that shipping address, I need it to, this is going to display the address of the client, and if they need to change it, they click, this is a button, or there's a link to a change field. As you're going through the payment information, there's this information. The order summary is on the right. Okay. Um, and keep in mind, and this is something that you run into. Amazon, a lot of times it's like you've got one item. For other businesses, you may have 20 items. How would that dynamic change if the order summary had more than one item? Because I've seen people take this design and move forward with it without thinking that, oh gosh, the number of things I'm using has changed. Um, so this is Figma. And I do like totally like the usage of grid paper for this. I think it just helps as you're trying to sketch. Um, so this is a drop down. So we're over here to open table. Now this is where I think that being more detailed would probably be helpful, because right now I can tell, because I've used this platform before and I've seen other sketches, like there's a rail here and there's other information, but what I'm seeing, and it could be just the frame of the image, because I see there's more down below and off to the side. It's hard to tell where that rail is. So this is, again, sketching is important so long as you're able to come back 2 months later and look at this and go, oh yeah, I remember this design, and this was happening because of blank. If the sketches aren't detailed enough for you to come back and make that connection, then that's a problem. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. Thank you so much to, well, we had Ruby, we had Luigi, we had Heather, and we had not Bren, Kara. Kara in here today. Love seeing the sketches, love seeing the portfolio taking shape, love seeing the client projects moving forward. Lots of activity moving in different directions. But without further ado, I'm going to wrap this one up because I got Joe Sway sitting on deck. So I will see the rest of you later. Take care.